Okay, here I have a 2002 ST1300 Pan European in Europe, which I purchased on the internet. I hadn't even seen this bike, but it was a good price. I knocked the guy down. It's only done 10,000 miles, but it hasn't been cared for. The services were erratic. The bike came from Wales, very close to the coast, only a mile away, so it was open to all the southwesterly salty blasts. So even though it's a very low mileage machine, it had deteriorated. There was rust in places, and basically things needed to be upgraded and cleaned up and brought up to scratch. Now today, I'm going to show you how to clean the aluminium bolts in the frame to bring them up to better than the class which you'd purchase the bike from new. There's a couple here that I've cleaned up already. This is the condition of the bolts I'm about to take out. These are Allen key bolts. I'll give you a close up. And you can see from that they're dull, a little bit of rusty deposits on them. They just don't look very good. They look untidy. There's a couple here that I have cleaned up already. If I move the rear footrest, I can show you what I've done. And there you can see that these two are better than new, because they're not that dull aluminium colour. They're actually virtually chrome. And I've even done the insides, as you can see, so it's not just the surround, the whole bolt looks very good. So I'm about to do these two at the front of the foot peg brackets, and I'm going to loosen one off now, and we'll get that out, and I'll show you how to clean it up and bring it up to a very good standard specification. So we'll insert the Allen key. There we go. Give it a good tug, and there it goes. It's free now. It sounds a bit squeaky as well, so it'll need some copper grease on the end. And here she comes. It's coming out quite smoothly now. Should be able to do this with my hand. And there we go. There's the bolt. Now, if we take a look at this, you can see that it's quite good on the inside, but on the outside, of course, it's tarnished. You can see where the salt's got the better of it. That could be brought up with Dremel tools and the like, and we'll bring that up to almost chrome condition. Right, let's move upstairs to the workshop, and we'll pick it up from upstairs. Right, here we are upstairs in the workshop, and if we take a close look at the bolt, you can see that it's very well salt corroded, and from the front, when that's in the frame, it really doesn't do the bike justice. Now you can simply replace these. You can buy new ones, but they are about £5 each. So it's much cheaper to clean them up oneself, and I'm going to demonstrate the process. I use a tool. There are many ways to do this, but I use a tool a Dremel tool, and you can do some close-up work with that and fine detailing, and makes life easy. This is a stainless steel brush, it goes on a Dremel. As you can see, it's well worn, so it's time for replacement, but regardless, this will suffice for today. So let's put it in the Dremel and let's get to work. Now, it's a good idea to lock the part down firmly in a vise, so you've got your hands free. So I'm going to pop that in a vise here. It's only aluminium, so if you do use a vise, just don't over tighten, because you will damage the screws if you really over tighten it. It takes a lot, but it's probably better to put a cloth in there, which I'm going to do now, just to protect the thread. And so we'll set that up in a vise so it's nice and firm to work on. Right, here we go, all set up in the vise. You can see the condition of it now under this this spotlight that I've got here, so that it's illuminating the object. So we'll get the Dremel and we'll start work, and you can see how that takes away the discolouring and what have you on the bolt. So you can see right away that it's got a lot of the tarnish off. Sorry if the video was a bit jumpy, but I'm trying to do everything with just two hands. But you can see that already the tarnish is coming off, and it's already looking very good just with the wire brush on the Dremel. But I'm going to go ahead and finish this up now without boring you too much, and then we'll come back to it when I've finished wire brushing it. Right, there we have it. That's the wire brush part of the operation done, and you can see it's in pretty good condition. I couldn't get right inside to that rusty part in the middle, but I've got other methods of getting to that. I'm now going to change over to a polishing tool from the Dremel. Now this one here is well worn, as you can see, and I'm going to use that to put inside the bolt and clean out the centre of the bolt, polish that up before I throw it away and put a new one on and finishing up. So let me just put this onto the Dremel, and the next stage will be polishing the inside. Right, the duster, or the polishing part of the Dremel, is now in place. This is a slightly different one because the other old piece was just too small, and what it meant was that the end, there's a screw in the end of the Dremel piece. You screw this into the shaft, was protruding at the end, so that would be no good because I'd be metal on metal. So I've put this old one in. You can just see the screw in the end, but there's enough material there to get down to the bottom without metal on metal. Now I'm also using a metal polish. I'm using this, but I mean there's Solvol to Sol or anything like that. It's just as good, just a fine metal polish. And all I do is just put a little bit inside the bolt, just squeeze it out, just a tiny bit. You see that on the inside, and then you get hold of the Dremel without turning the tool on. Just wobble that around in there for a minute, and then go very slowly to start so we don't lose the material and it doesn't spin off like that, and then polish away gently. If you look down inside, you can see that looks pretty good already. I'm just going to use the rest of that polish on the outside before I wear it. Again, it looks a bit precarious and wobbly because, of course, I'm only using one hand. I'm holding the phone with the other, but you can get the general idea. So just polish around there. Now, again, I'm going to put the telephone down now, put a new polisher on the Dremel, and I'll be back to you in a second. There's a nice new duster there for the Dremel. All we need to do is put that screw into the centre hole, and then that screws onto the shaft at the end there like that. And again, a bit more of the metal polish around the bolt head. Just rub that around gently, and then we'll spin the tool up and we'll continue polishing. And again, it's hard to do this with just one hand, so I'm going to put the phone down now, the camera, and be back to you when I've completed this task. Okay, so we're almost at the end now. As you can see, it looks a bit gungy with all that polish on it. Just finishing off now, and then we'll just dust up. Right, let's take it out of the vise. The whole project so far, the polishing process, taken about 5 minutes, so not too much. I'll use the duster because it might be a bit warm. Actually, it's not. Now, just juggle with the phone here. What we'll do now is we'll use this cloth, microfiber cloth, just to polish. Finally wipe away the metal polish and buff up with the hand, and just clean it up generally. And there we go. As you can see, it's virtually like chrome. There are a few blemishes on that. As you can see, let me just do the inside. I'm going to need 2 hands, so just pop the phone down for a second and I'll clean up the inside as well with this microfiber cloth. Right, here we go. As you can see, it's not perfect yet, it's not 100%. There are a few blemishes on that as well. If you can see on the surface, there are a few scratches and marks. Now you can get these out, you can actually get those out with, if you were to use some fine emery cloth and then repolish. But to be perfectly honest with you, you know, I mean, this is low down on a motorbike. It's 10 times better than a new bolt, and there are marks on it. It depends what kind of level you want to bring it up to. I can bring this up to glass condition, chrome condition, all over it if I wish. I'll probably do a bit more on the inside now, looking at that, just to finish it off. The outside of this bolt, of course, will be hidden inside the frame anyway, so there's no need to overdo that. But the inside of the bolt, as you can see, there's a little bit of tarnishing still, so I've got to have another quick go on that. I'm not going to bother with the emery cloth to get out those fine dents on the bolt. I don't think I can be bothered. Be back to you in a second. Right, there we are. Giving it another quick polish on the inside. As you can see, it's still not 100%, but it's a very good bolt when you compare that to the condition that was in when we first took it off the bike. It's very presentable. So back downstairs to the garage and we'll relocate the bolt in the frame. Back in a second. Right, here we are then, back in the garage, and we'll pop the bolt that's been repolished, cleaned up, and we'll put that back into the frame where it goes. Oh, actually, beforehand, I think we'll just clean out the inside of the frame. We'll just give that a quick polish on the inside. Right, so that's the bolt hole cleaned out and polished, just in case you can see a little bit of that once the bolt's in. Applied a little bit of grease to the end, always makes it easy for taking that bolt out in the future, all part of general maintenance, of course. So let's screw that back in by hand to start with. And then I'll finish up with the Allen key. There we go, and there we go, and that's the right torque as well for that size Allen key. There we go. So quick polish over, and there we are. There's the finished bolt in place. If I bring up the light, maybe you can see the condition that is and how well that looks on the machine now, and compare that to the bolt at the bottom, which is yet to be done. What an improvement. Also, some of you may have noticed, who've got a keen eye, you may have noticed that being a 2002 model, I shouldn't really have this side panel in here, but they're only a few pounds brand new from Honda, about £17 for the pair, one either side, and I've had those put in because I think they tidy up the bike and make it look a lot better. Whereas before there was a big hole there and you could see the monoshock and everything, and I think that's an improvement. Anyway guys, I'm going to sign off now. Try it on your own machine, and I think you'll be pleased with the results.